For years, they were the perfect team, two faces of a love story that changed television forever. Sam Heughan and Caitriona Bulfe, untouchable, graceful, endlessly professional, moved through the spotlight as if they were born to share it. Fans adored them, not just for their on-screen chemistry, but for the quiet loyalty that seemed to bind them in real life. Together, they were the golden duo of Outlander. But behind that polished harmony, something else had been quietly hidden, something even the most devoted fans never suspected. And it wasn't until recently that Caitriona decided to speak. It happened during a quiet, intimate interview, not the kind meant for headlines. The host asked her about Sam, what it had been like to spend a decade side by side with the same man through countless stories, storms, and seasons. At first she smiled, that familiar, gentle smile that lit up rooms and hearts alike. But then her expression shifted. A silence stretched between breaths, and with a soft, deliberate exhale, she said words that no one expected to hear. "There's something about Sam that people don't know, something he never wanted anyone to know." The interviewer leaned forward, stunned. Caitriona hesitated, as though weighing a secret she'd carried too long, then finally nodded. He always carried more than anyone realized. Even when things were hard for him, he protected everyone else first. He hid that side of himself because he thought the world only wanted to see the strong version. It wasn't a scandal she was revealing, it was something far deeper, the truth of who Sam Heughan really was. Back in the early days of Outlander, when the cameras stopped rolling and the world was still discovering the phenomenon the show would become, Sam had been facing unimaginable pressure: overnight fame, relentless travel, unforgiving expectations. To the public he was unstoppable, the heroic Scot who could handle anything. But behind that strength lived a silence. He was exhausted, often isolated, and fighting battles no one ever saw. And Caitriona, being the one closest to him, witnessed it all. She remembered nights when filming ended long after midnight, yet Sam would linger to help the crew pack equipment. He'd check on everyone, the camera operators, the makeup artists, asking if they were okay, offering encouragement before quietly retreating to his trailer alone. He never complained, Caitriona said softly. Even when he was struggling, he'd laugh and say, "We're lucky to be here, right?" But I could see it, the weight he was carrying. As Outlander grew, so did the myth around Sam. Interviews painted him as the flawless leading man, disciplined, humble, tireless. He smiled through every question, every press tour, even when storms brewed behind the curtain, script changes, studio pressure, gossip invading his privacy. He held it all inside, because to him vulnerability looked like weakness. Caitriona's voice trembled when she recalled one night in particular. They had just filmed a grueling, emotional scene in the freezing Scottish cold. When the director called cut, Sam didn't move. He stayed on the ground, trembling not from the cold, but from sheer exhaustion. "I asked if he was okay," she said, her eyes glistening. He just smiled and said, "It's fine, it's part of the job." But I knew it wasn't fine. For years she kept that memory to herself, because Sam never wanted anyone to know. To the world he was strength itself, calm, unshakable, heroic. To Caitriona, he was human, a man giving everything he had while quietly breaking inside. When the interviewer asked why she decided to share it now, Caitriona took a long breath before answering. "Because people see the hero, the fame, the perfection, but they don't see the man who sacrificed pieces of himself to hold everything together. I think it's time they do." Within hours, her words spread like wildfire. Social media lit up. Fans were stunned, many in tears. Some said they'd always sensed something deeper in Sam's calm demeanor. Others admitted they never realized how much pain might hide behind that gentle smile. And yet Caitriona wasn't finished. Before the interview ended, she said one last thing, a line that would echo through every headline and fan thread that followed. He didn't want anyone's sympathy. He just didn't want the world to see him when he was hurting. But that's the part of Sam people should know, that even heroes bleed. For years, the world had seen Sam Heughan as the man who could endure anything. Now, through Caitriona's voice, they finally saw the heart behind the hero. Why did he hide it for so long? After the interview aired, the internet erupted. Hashtags filled timelines. Respect for Sam Heughan, real strength, no more secrets. But while fans debated and shared their admiration, Sam himself stayed silent. No statements, no posts, just quiet. Those close to him said he watched the interview alone from his home in Scotland. He hadn't known Caitriona would say those things. He hadn't asked her to. But as he heard her trembling voice through the screen, something unexpected happened. Not anger, not embarrassment, relief. For years he'd built walls around his pain, convinced that strength meant silence. But now someone had gently opened that locked door. And it wasn't just anyone, it was the person who had walked beside him through it all. Days later, Caitriona reached out. A source close to them said she sent a short message. "I hope you know I only said it because you never would. People deserve to see who you really are." Sam replied simply, "Thank you, maybe it's time they do." That was the beginning not of scandal but of healing. For nearly a decade, Sam had hidden more than exhaustion. Behind the calm exterior lived moments of doubt, the fear of not being enough, of letting people down, of never living up to the myth fans adored. Once during a night shoot in season 4, he confessed quietly to Caitriona. "Sometimes I feel like they love Jamie more than they could ever love me." She hadn't replied, then just placed a hand on his shoulder the way friends do when words can't help. Years later, through her compassion, she gave voice to that truth for him. The response was overwhelming. Letters poured in, not about his fame or looks, but about his courage. The courage it takes to keep showing up, even when you're silently falling apart. Soon after, Sam broke his silence. In a heartfelt interview, he said, "I've always believed in keeping parts of my life private, maybe too much, but hearing Caitriona speak reminded me that there's strength in being seen, even when it's uncomfortable. I didn't want people to worry about me. I wanted to protect the team, the fans, the story. But somewhere along the way, I forgot it's okay not to be perfect." The words struck deep. The man once known for his unshakable strength was showing what resilience truly looked like: vulnerability. Weeks later, Caitriona spoke again during a charity live stream. When asked about the now famous interview, she smiled softly. "I didn't reveal a secret to expose him. I did it because he deserves to be seen not just as the hero, but as the human. He's the strongest person I know, but strength isn't about hiding pain, it's about surviving it." Those words changed everything. The conversation wasn't about what Sam hid anymore, it was about why he felt he had to. In an industry built on perfection, endless smiles, no cracks allowed, Sam's story shattered the illusion. Through Caitriona's compassion, the world remembered that even those who inspire millions can feel small, tired, and human. Later, in one final reflection, Sam said something that felt like both a confession and a truth he'd waited years to share. "For so long I thought being strong meant carrying everything alone, but maybe real strength is letting someone see you, truly see you, and still stand beside you anyway." Caitriona did that for me. I'll never forget it. The revelation didn't weaken him, it transformed him. Fans didn't see a broken man, they saw a brave one. When Sam and Caitriona reunited months later for a press event, their bond seemed deeper, gentler. They laughed the same, teased each other the same, but something unspoken had changed. There was freedom in their eyes. Before leaving the stage, a reporter asked Caitriona what she thought about the phrase, "no more secrets." She smiled, glanced at Sam, and said, "I think it means honesty, the kind that heals. We've both learned that hiding pain doesn't protect you. It only keeps you from being known." Sam nodded beside her, his voice calm but full of meaning. No more masks, no more pretending, just truth, messy, real, human. And in that moment, the illusion that had followed them for years finally lifted. What remained wasn't scandal or sorrow, but something infinitely stronger. Two people who had walked through fame, fear, and silence, and emerged with honesty and grace. No more secrets. Just Sam Heughan, real, imperfect, and finally understood. That night, after the interview storm had settled and the world went quiet again, Sam sat by the window of his Edinburgh home. The rain tapped gently against the glass, soft, rhythmic, almost like applause fading in the distance. He didn't scroll through the headlines or read the comments that flooded social media. He didn't need to. Somewhere deep inside, he already knew what mattered most. On the table beside him was an old photo from their first day on the Outlander set. He was still wearing Jamie's coat. She was laughing, eyes full of mischief and trust. He picked it up, studied it for a moment, then smiled. Not the practiced smile fans knew, but one small and unguarded. The phone buzzed. A message from Caitriona. "Early call tomorrow. You ready, partner?" He stared at the screen for a moment before replying, "Always." Then he looked back out at the rain, at the city lights glimmering like tiny stories in the dark, and exhaled slow and steady. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like he was pretending. The world would keep watching. The cameras would roll again. But something had changed. The masks had fallen, the silence had broken. And as the first light of dawn began to wash the sky, Sam Heughan whispered to himself, almost as if making a promise only the morning could hear. "No more secrets." Somewhere miles away, Caitriona smiled as if she'd heard him. And between them, not distance, not fame, not illusion, but something far quieter, far stronger. A truth still unfolding, a story still being written.